China has border disputes with all neighbors. Actually, China has territorial disagreement with more than 20 countries. An expansionist China claims 90% of the South China Sea, wants Japanese islands in the East China Sea, is encroaching on the territories of Nepal, and is trying to push the line of actual control with India. But this is not all. China is claiming the territory of Russia. In the middle of the coronavirus outbreak and the current border standoff with India, China has now staked its claim on the Russian city of Vladivostok. Vladivostok, meaning Lord of the East, is the administrative center of the Far Eastern Federal District and Primorsky Krai, Russia, located around the Golden Horn Bay. It's actually not far from Russia's borders with China and North Korea. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how China is picking up a fight with Russia by claiming Vladivostok could lead to its quick downfall. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by the free-to-play military vehicle combat game War Thunder. We talk a lot about military vehicles on this channel, but what about trying them out for yourself? In War Thunder, you can choose from more than 1,200 playable vehicles from the 1930s to the 1990s and go to battle on more than 80 theaters of war. You can fly aircraft, helicopters, drive tanks, and command ships of all types and sizes, which have been carefully recreated from their real-world counterparts. It's available as a free download on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. So grab your friends and give it a try. All viewers of Defense Updates that register using the link in the description below will also get a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship and 3 days of premium account time as a bonus. To celebrate the 160th anniversary of Vladivostok, a video was posted by the Russian embassy on the Chinese social media website Weibo. But Chinese, including diplomats, journalists, and social media users, objected to this almost instantly. They claim it was Qing's Manchurian homeland, but was annexed by the Russian Empire in 1860, after China was defeated by the British and the French during the Second Opium War. Shen Shiwim, a journalist at the Chinese state-run broadcaster China Global Television Network (CGTN), tweeted, "This tweet of #Russian Embassy to #China isn't so welcome on Weibo." The history of Vladivostok is from 1860 when Russia built a military harbor. But the city was Haishenwai as Chinese land before Russia annexed it via unequal Treaty of Beijing. Chinese diplomats have also jumped in. Zhang Heiqing, a wolf warrior from China currently stationed at the country's mission in Pakistan, said, "Isn't this in the past what was our Haishenwai?" The Chinese Communist Party's IT cell also seems to have launched a coordinated attack. A Weibo user wrote, "Today we can only endure, but the Chinese people will remember, and one generation after another will continue to remember." SCMP quotes another user as saying, "We must believe that this ancestral land will return home in the future." It's shocking and to an extent funny how China is making claims based on what happened in the middle of the 19th century. It's interesting to note that just like this, China has claimed territories based on historical precedent dating back to the 13th and 14th centuries. In early June 2017, reports from Russian media indicated that yet another ground forces missile brigade received the dreaded Iskander-M missile system. The brigade was the 29th Army's newly established 3rd Missile Brigade, based in Russia's enormous Eastern Military District. It must be noted that Russia's Eastern Military District is basically directed at China. The Iskander-M is a mobile, short-range ballistic missile system produced and deployed by the Russian Federation. Iskander-M is a tactical missile system designed to be used in theater-level conflicts. Iskander-M system is equipped with 2 solid propellant single-stage guided missiles. Each missile in the launcher vehicle can be independently targeted in a matter of seconds. Iskander-M travels at a hypersonic speed of around Mach 6, carries a warhead of 750 kilograms, or about 1,650 pounds, and has a range of 500 kilometers or 310 miles. It's rumored that during flight it can maneuver at different altitudes and trajectories and can turn at up to 30 G to evade anti-ballistic missiles. It's designed to carry both conventional or nuclear warheads. The missile can be aimed at both moving and stationary targets. Placing an advanced system like Iskander-M against China clearly indicates that Russia feels it needs to guard against Chinese forces. Iskander-M is Russia's way to level the playing field with asymmetric capabilities. Not only this, Russia recently expressed their frustration publicly, which is rare since the relation between Moscow and Beijing appears to be good. Russia is conscious of Chinese rampant reverse engineering. Over the years, China has copied several Russian weapon platforms with total disregard for intellectual property rights and contractual obligations. The Chinese have often bought limited quantities and then reverse engineered the weapons. For example, Russians claim that the Chinese began violating licensing terms almost immediately by installing their own avionics on flankers under Chinese designation J-11. The deal fell apart after about half of the Su-27s were sent to China, and Moscow accused Chinese manufacturers of replicating the jet under the names J-11 and J-11B. The impact of these copies is so large that some quarters of the Russian power circle objected to the sale of the S-400 to China. The deal was eventually sealed after Russian analysts felt that the S-400 was too complicated to copy. Russia's armed forces commenced the operational strategic exercise Vostok 2014 in the Russian Far East, which, like the earlier Vostok 2010, contained robust indications that the Russian strategists continued to consider China a potential threat. From the 11th to the 17th of December 2018, Vostok 2018 was held. China and Mongolia were also included in the exercise and became the first countries outside of the former Soviet Union to join the Vostok exercises. The inclusion of China, as per many military analysts, was done to pacify one of its major trading partners. Also, some other analysts have stated that it was done so as to give China a glimpse of Russian capabilities so that it acts as a soft deterrent. Up to February 2014, Russian dependence on China was very low, but things change as US and its allies hit Russia with sanctions. These sanctions have pushed its top companies out of the dollar-based financial system. This has affected the Russian economy adversely. In this situation, Moscow has been forced to maintain seemingly close ties with Beijing. China offers the best opportunity for Russia to diversify its trade since it's a massive market. It imports oil from Russia. China also is a major market to sell arms. This is an important source of foreign revenue for Russia. China's propaganda machinery is expert in making far-fetched territorial claims. Recently, CGTN had tweeted, "An extraordinary sun halo was spotted Friday in the skies over Mount Chomolungma, also known as Mount Everest, the world's highest peak located in China's Tibet Autonomous Region." Russia and China share a 4,209-kilometer or 2,615 miles long border. As per reports, the Defense Ministry of Russia is wary of the possible challenges that can be posed by China at the border in the long run. The reaction from China over the video posted by the Russian embassy could signal bursting of the bubble of friendship, and Sino-Russian relations may go downhill in the coming days. But China has to keep in mind that unlike some of the smaller nations like Vietnam, it can't have its way with Russia. A large chunk of Chinese weapons is of Russian origin. Russia could cripple the Chinese military to an extent, even without war, just by stopping the supply of spare parts and supporting services. It's important to note that the US and Russia are estimated to possess about 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. In terms of strategic platforms, Russia is still next only to the US, and China has a long way to go in this regard. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.